Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 5:30.
There's now a local option for people who were sick this year to find out if they had coronavirus. Good evening and thanks for joining us for NBC 16 at 5:30. I'm Alan Matthews. NBC 16's Alex Hassenstab spoke with the medical director of Nova Health, getting the details on their newly offered antibody test.
Early on in the COVID-19 pandemic, health officials said there was a lack of testing supplies in the nation. Many people with symptoms were turned down. But now antibody tests being offered at all Oregon Nova Health clinics may offer answers.
This is for someone who was sick within the last month or two, and we had no ability to know whether or not they had COVID-19 at the time because we didn't have the ability to test them.
Medical Director Mark Schnapper says Nova Health decided to start offering antibody tests after they became available online. But Schnapper says that talking with a provider is crucial to getting information about the tests to patients.
Understanding what the test is and what it's not, and the information that's provided is incredibly important.
Patients can set up a telemedical conference or a normal appointment at a clinic. Then a blood sample is sent out to labs.
It does take a few days to come back. It's not a rapid turnaround test, but because it's not really used for diagnostic purposes, that's okay.
Schnapper says the tests are very sensitive to COVID antibodies, so a false negative is extremely rare, but occasional false positives can occur.
There is some crossover with non-COVID-19 coronaviruses, so it's not 100% in that regard.
Schnapper says there is still much to learn about how much protection antibodies provide from getting the disease again.
And that's why we're still want to emphasize that it doesn't guarantee immunity, but it also provides some knowledge base of prevalence of disease in the community.
The test results will be reported to local health authorities. How the information will be used, Schnapper says we'll have to wait and see. I'm Alex Hassenstab reporting.
Meanwhile, on the coast, Bay Area Hospital is benefiting from 15 Abbott ID Now rapid testing machines. The Oregon Health Authority has distributed the machines to medical centers all over the state. OHA chose areas based on their access to testing, a limited number of first responders, and a high population of at-risk groups. Using a nasal swab sample, the Abbott ID will analyze the test, giving a positive result in 5 minutes and a negative result in 13 minutes. Kelly Dion with Bay Area Hospital says this will help preserve personal protective equipment.
Instead of bringing in a patient and keeping them on isolation and burning through a bunch of PPE for the 2 to 3 days that it takes us to get the results back from the state lab, we can test them and take them out of isolation immediately. So that's 2 to 3 days per patient worth of PPE that we're not expending.
To have a test done on the machine, a patient must be admitted to the hospital. Those not admitted and self-isolating will have tests processed by the state lab. Test kits are different between the two processes, and the rapid testing kits are limited. Bay Area Hospital is sharing the rapid test ability with community partners, but a patient must still meet the same prioritization. While there have been no new positive cases at the Shutter Creek Correctional Facility in Coos County, testing there does continue. Coos Health and Wellness reports they just learned 15 tests were done, with all coming back negative. The difference in those now being tested is the location on the property.
They all came from individuals that were not part of the dormitory where all the cases have come from. So I think they're just kind of continuing to double check to make sure that there hasn't been any additional spread beyond that dormitory.
Leon says they're keeping their eye on June. That's when the next release is scheduled to Coos County. In the meantime, they hope to get an update on a revised process from the Department of Corrections on the notification process for releases. Breaking down our coronavirus cases statewide, Oregon has more than 3,400 cases. The coronavirus has now killed 134 people in the state. As we move on to our region, Benton County has 50 cases. Linn County has seen the most cases in our area with 105. Lane County health officials say as of right now, we have 61 cases, including one presumptive case. Deschutes County has 89 cases. Douglas County still stands at 24. There's only been one new positive case in that county confirmed in the last 23 days. Coos County is now reporting 30 cases to the state health authority. Now remember, all of these numbers are the total confirmed cases that each county has seen since the state health authority Authority reported Oregon's first confirmed case. That was back at the end of February. Across age groups, you can see here in Lane County, about 42% of the confirmed cases have been people between the ages of 40 to 59. 10 of those cases have been in their 60s, and 9 cases have been age 70 or older. Meanwhile, 12 of the cases have been in people ages 20 to 39, and 4 people age 19 or younger have tested positive. Doctors believe they have identified the first known case of pediatric multisystem inflammatory syndrome in Oregon. It's a mystery syndrome that has affected 150 children nationwide, mostly in New York. The Oregon patient is being treated in Portland. This illness has emerged in children who were infected within those first few weeks. They can test negative for the virus, but positive for the antibody. They were asymptomatic and their bodies developed this immune reaction. Now doctors are working to understand how it attacks the body.
It seems to be actually a post-infectious syndrome where the immune system is hyperactive, and it leads to inflammation of the heart muscle or the arteries of the body.
Symptoms include fever, whole body rash, bright red eyes, swollen lymph nodes, swollen feet and hands, red cracked lips, an extreme headache, and sometimes difficulty breathing. The Lane County Medical Examiner is investigating tonight after the body of a 64-year-old man was found under the Autzen footbridge. According to Eugene police, a passerby spotted the body Tuesday just before 11 a.m. in the Willamette River. Police tell us they do not suspect foul play at this time. The identity of the man is not being released until next of kin is notified. Well, we move now to first weather. NBC 16's Heather Melendez now joins us. We're seeing not only some rainfall, but some cloud cover here in our area.
Yes, and we do have the potential to see some thunderstorms for tomorrow, but let me show you what's going to happen. Today, we did manage to see plenty of soggy conditions, really isolated out in the coast like Coos Bay and Newport, but we are starting to pick up some rainfall and cloud coverage, as Alan mentioned, here in Lane County. That's really because that wind speed is pushing it on northward, but it's also creating a wind chill. We're experiencing some 50-degree weather all across the board from western Oregon, but also allowing us to cool down to the 40s for tonight. Those out on the coast will manage to see some 50-degree weather, but with moisture and unstable air speeds, we will see chances of thunderstorm for tomorrow. But with that moisture in the air, those out on the coast as well are seeing some reduced visibility. That marine layer isn't going away. Even for those out in Eugene, Lane County, we'll see some cloud coverage moving on into tomorrow, seeing more rain. We'll have a dry day around the corner, and I'll let you know in my full weather forecast. Alan?
All right, thank you so much, Heather. We reported earlier this week that Governor Kate Brown is asking all state agencies to prepare to cut spending by 17%. Our local schools could be seeing a reduction in millions. NBC 16's Cassandra Gutierrez has that story.
With the financial crisis hitting our economy nationwide, local public schools are also feeling that financial burden. We hear from 4J School District, who says all options are on the table in moving forward with dealing with these budget cuts. With a potential $17.5 million reduction in state funding, budgeting for this upcoming year won't be easy for the 4J School District.
And there will be some pains. I'm being very forthright. There will be some pains being had to achieve those 2 North Stars that I currently am going to be recommending to my board and my budget committee.
Dr. Baldera says those North Stars are keeping their teachers employed and their students learning.
I think right now we're looking at a variety of scenarios. And again, we do have a reserve. We're very fortunate here in Eugene 4J that we have a local levy that provides us some additional dollars that, again, very fortunate, very thankful to our community.
He mentions as of now, plans to build a new North Eugene High School are still in place. And as far as reopening campuses,
it is all over the place nationwide. There's a lot of contingency plans being had, and we're working on those contingency plans here, whether it's going to be a hybrid approach, or we're completely closed, or we're open. So we're looking at all sorts of approaches.
He says they are waiting for guidance from the Department of Education and the Oregon Health Authority. Budgeting plans are scheduled to be discussed on Wednesday, May 20th. We also hear from Bethel School District, who says they will be waiting until the end of this month to make any budgeting plans. Reporting in Eugene, I'm Cassandra Gutierrez.
Springfield Public Schools say they are looking at a potential $11.7 million reduction. They too are looking at ways to reduce costs during the upcoming school year. Another agency to be affected by budget cuts is the Oregon State Police Department. Oregon ranks at the bottom for state trooper staffing with only about 8 troopers per every 100,000 people. Now that number could drop even further with possible staffing cuts boiling down to funding. This includes Oregon State Police, meaning worst case scenario, about 200 positions could be cut. Some smaller patrol offices across the state would be suspended, including Albany. Captain Tim Fox says trooper staffing has been an issue for decades.
And so we have half the troopers, double the population, double the miles, the cars, the calls for service, cell phones. I mean, this is becoming to be an uphill battle that I don't know that we can climb.
A clearer state budget will be released on May 20th, meaning ONSP will have a better picture of possible funding. Oregon's primary election is taking place next week with ballots due by 8 p.m. on May 19th at an official drop-off site. And make sure to follow our election primary coverage. It'll all start at 5 a.m. with our morning newscast and end with a recap of election results on NBC 16 News at 11 p.m. You can also follow the latest results next Tuesday on NBC16.com as well as our Facebook page at KMTR News. Well, coming up on your only local news at 5:30, unemployment numbers continue to increase across the country. How this can have a toll on people's mental health.